where your plastic bags, bottles, and trash end up. Well, just like the thousands of goldfish that get flushed into the toilet, they're ending up in the ocean right beside it. Every year, billions of pounds of plastic get dumped into the world's oceans. Today, I want to explain the growing threat of plastic pollution in the ocean on the planet. What I'll discuss is how plastic is polluting the ocean, the effect it is having, and what possible solutions there are. The first thing I would like you to know is what types of things are polluting the ocean. Each year, about 8.8 million tons of plastic end up in the ocean, and that's equivalent to 5 grocery bags of plastic debris dotting each foot of coastline. This was said by Jenna Jambek, an environmental engineering professor at the University of Georgia. In the Los Angeles area alone, 10 metric tons of trash is dumped into the ocean every day. We're surrounded by plastic. Think about every piece you touch in a single day. Grocery bags, food containers, water bottles, straws. The list goes on and on. Plastic may be convenient, but it's damaging the environment. In the first decade of this century, we made more plastic than all the plastic in history up to the year 2000. Most ocean pollution starts on land and then is carried to sea by rain and wind. Once in the water, there's a near continuous accumulation of plastic debris, and plastic is so durable that the EPA says every bit of plastic ever made still exists today. Plastic waste is readily transported long distances in source areas and concentrations in gyres, which are systems of rotating currents. The North Pacific Gyre, also known as the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, is twice the size of Texas and is still growing. It is composed of small plastic particles that are suspended at or just below the surface, making it easy for fish and animals to eat this plastic waste. In the garbage patch, plastic outnumbers fish food like zooplankton 6 to 1. The garbage patch is only one of 5 such convergence zones, which in total cover 40% of the ocean. Now that you have an idea of what is polluting our oceans and how, let's look at the effect it is having. Plastic pollution has a direct and deadly effect on wildlife. Thousands of seabirds, sea turtles, seals, and other marine mammals are killed each year after ingesting plastic or getting entangled in it. Also, fish and other marine species that are commonly eaten by humans are sources of food that are contaminated by plastic ingestion and in turn make people sick. The EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, reports that fish in the North Pacific ingest 12,000 to 24,000 tons of plastic each year, which can cause intestinal injury and death. Many marine mammals, like sea turtles, mistake floating plastic for food, and this can cause lacerations inside the stomach, which are cuts and cause internal bleeding. It can also lead to blockage in the gut, and also can make the animal feel full, but it really isn't because it's eating plastic, which has no nutritional content or nutritional value for the animal. So they pretty much die a slow and painful death. Plastic pollution, however, doesn't just hurt marine species. It's also harmful to people. As plastic debris floats in the water, it absorbs dangerous pollutants and chemicals that are highly toxic. As these chemicals are ingested by animals in the ocean, this is not good for humans because we eat these contaminated animals and fish. Toxins in plastic are directly linked to cancers, birth defects, immune system problems, and childhood developmental issues. One more widely known chemical in plastic is BPA. Nowadays, when you go to the store and you want to buy a plastic product, a lot of them advertise that it is BPA free. And that's because of a 2010 FDA act that expressed new concern about potential effects of BPA on the brain, behavioral and prostate gland fetuses in infants and children. To further paint a picture of what I'm talking about, I'd like to show you a video of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch that I mentioned earlier.
Garbage dump isn't on land, it's in the Pacific Ocean. Estimated to be twice the size of Texas,
The Great Pacific Garbage Patch stretches from the coast of California all the way to Japan. In some places, the man-made debris is 90 feet deep. Marine biologists estimate that 90% of the 3.5 million tons of floating trash is all plastic. In some parts of the ocean, there's already 6 times more plastic than plankton, which is the food many fish rely on to survive. How did all that plastic end up in the ocean? 80% is litter from land, either dropped directly into waterways or blown by wind into rivers and streams from states as far away as Iowa. The monumental amount of plastic trash has created an ecological disaster that has cost the lives of millions of seabirds and marine mammals. When this dead albatross was cut open, its stomach was full, not of fish, but of plastic.
So now that I've shown you how plastic pollution affects wildlife and humans, I'd also like to discuss the possible solutions there. The starting point of change relies on education and information. More and more awareness and preventative programs are promoted. For instance, in 2004, the Australian government launched a campaign called Keep the Sea Plastic Free, in which it attempted to educate the public to dispose of plastic waste properly. Surfrider Foundation is aiming to raise awareness of plastic debris and reduce the proliferation of single-use plastic bags and water bottles, as well as the #1 littered item worldwide, which are cigarette butts. Biodegradable plastics have also been considered as a future of plastic products, which according to the Biodegradable Plastic Society, when such plastics are composted, they break down to carbon dioxide and water. Controversy does exist though, because as we have people believing that plastics are so biodegradable, however there's still some byproducts that don't decompose fully, then there will be a danger that littering is okay and it conveys the wrong message to people. And lastly, another highly effective way to solve this plastic pollution problem is for governments to enact more laws and regulations for effective recycling, disposal, and production of plastics. Since plastic pollution is not an issue that can be controlled overnight, year-long policies must be framed to achieve success. So today I've talked about how plastic is polluting the ocean, the effect it is having, and what possible solutions there are. There's tons of plastic in the ocean, and not only are animals dying as well, but people are also getting sick. Even though a lot of damage has been done, if more people are educated on this topic and everyone does their part to ensure the safety of animals and ourselves, humans, we can keep the oceans looking good. Thank you.
So Adrian, what did you think?
I actually really liked the video or his whole speech. It was actually interesting, and I felt like I could do something about it. And he also used like guilt, kind of like guilted me that video. I felt kind of like sad that all those animals were like dying and kind of like guilt tripped me. But I also like how he like related it, that whole like patch. He related it back to the size of Texas and how it's coming back to us eventually, even though we're kind of just throwing the plastic away. It is coming back to us and contaminating us, and I like how he uses like the animal's point of view and how it affects them, and how they are eating that plastic. And I like how he uses a lot of facts, but I feel like some of them were kind of like unsighted. So I was kind of wondering where he got it, and if they were really reliable sources.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go the opposite direction of you on that last thing. I thought that he did a very good job citing the material, especially in the first part of the speech. There was, consistent citations of from the EPA and other experts on this particular subject. I thought that was actually pretty effective. The video, I think, where are you? I know you're right here somewhere. There you are. The video, I think, is a good visualization of the thing that you're talking about. I think it comes in the wrong spot in the presentation. It seems to me like it should go in that first section when you were talking about the gyre and the whole process of how this ends up in the oceans and everything. And you have it in the section where it's talking about the effects on the ecology and on wildlife and humans. There's nothing in that video clip that's about the effect on humans. There's only a tiny amount that's about the effect on wildlife. You have just a little bit right at the end of that, and most of it is, giving us a vision of what it is that you're talking about. So it really feels like all of that should have been in that first section rather than in the second section where you had it. I thought it worked pretty well because it does give us a sense of what it is that you're talking about. We heard the same measure of scope that you used, is that Oprah narrating, that sort of thing. That sounded like her voice. It's twice the size of Texas. By the way, Texas is pretty damn big, but compared to the ocean, it's not all that damn big. But that doesn't mean that it's not important. It's certainly significant. The quantification of animals being killed, I think there might be a little bit of nebulous material on that. Then I might agree with Adrian about that there could be a little bit more citation of that. And the idea that there's going to be an impact on humans, that seems to be also something that's a little bit underdeveloped. The last section, the solutions that you talk about, I think also needs some more material there. If it's all about awareness, it's all about awareness. That shouldn't be that hard a problem to fix, but there's got to be something more than just awareness. People know that this is bad for the oceans. We've got stuff. Have you seen those painted warnings on the ground next to the storm drains that says, if it goes in here, it goes to the ocean. Don't do that. No dumping on that kind of stuff. So why does stuff end up there anyway? I think there's obviously a bigger problem that you're going to have to deal with. The structure of the speech internally was pretty simple. There's a good preview. I like the opening of the speech. You defined the gyre. You talked about, you mentioned BPA, but you don't really explain what it is except that it's in some plastic and how it is dangerous. We got some vague references to all the potential dangers that are going on there, but again, those sound like they're mostly directed toward humans, and I didn't see anything that's suggested that this has gone up that far in the food chain that humans are being affected. There needed to be a little bit more data on that particular point. All right, thank you.